Hello and welcome to We Will Manage, the podcast exploring the weird and wonderful world of work. We are two young professionals figuring out our careers one conversation at a time.
And today we have the honor of talking with Isa to open up season 2. This is a
Welcome
conversation. Back. Yes, it's a conversation we've been wanting to have for quite a while. She is an amazing part of the podcast because she has been listening since day one and has really helped us form the podcast. So we knew we wanted to talk to her and it just really fit in with this season. So yeah, we thought it would be a good way to start off.
I learned a lot. It wasn't the easiest episode to record. We had some technical issues, so it'll be a great one to listen to because it was very eventful. I hope you enjoy. Haha! Online, we're live.
We're live. Let's
Everything
hope
changes.
My internet stays good because the reason I left the call is because it just disappeared.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
joining.
I'm so excited.
It's nice to meet you. I haven't actually ever spoken to you.
Nope, never.
This is our third interview. Is that right? Yeah.
Third interview. Conversation.
And first episode of season 2, actually. Mm-hmm. I am leading this episode because I don't know you at all. So this should be fun. Yep. We're not talking about any specific topic, so we don't have kind of an objective of a topic to talk about today, but we just want to learn about you and what planet you came from and your life, and then we'll see what we discover along the way.
Okay.
So maybe if you could just introduce yourself, kind of baseline, where you're from, what your name is, how old you are, and then we can jump into, all the juicy stuff.
Okay. So I'm a little bit nervous about the podcast.
That's okay.
It's not the first time that I've been in a podcast because someone else invited me last year, but this is the first time in a podcast in English. So for me, it's a bit I don't know. If I'm a bit nervous, Alba, just ignore it. Okay. So this is Isabel. I'm from Spain. I live in southern Spain in Málaga. I am an architect and interior designer. That's what I do for work. That's what I studied. That's what I like to do. I don't know. I've just been living my whole life in the same neighborhood. I like things straight, clear. I like organization. I'm a very responsible person. I like studying. I like learning new things every day. An empath. I am quite kind, but I get a bit rude when I'm overstimulated or very nervous. So that's a pretty good summary of who I am. Very short.
I love it. I can see why you two get along.
Yeah.
What? I don't know.
I
what
know
you
myself.
mean.
Yeah. We're very similar. So we know each other's boundaries because we have the same boundaries. Probably 98% of stuff. So we know it. And
Pretty much.
I know myself a lot, but I would like to know myself even more. I'm in a process of self-improvement, self-growth. I've been in this process for the last 2 years because I suffered from couple episodes of anxiety, and from that I decided to work on myself, not just professionally related but also self-related. And that's what I'm coming from. That's what my career development is going for also. And pretty much I like to read. I like to play the piano a little bit. I like to paint a lot. I have a lot of hobbies. My main hobby is having hobbies. So
I don't think I've related to anything more.
Totally. Yeah. That's actually how Isa and I met at dance class. That's how we know each other. So we all have that in common as well.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're all at dance.
She dances way much better than I do because
she dances way better than all of us.
Yeah.
No, not the case.
But I'm happy I could learn from her a couple years. So, yeah, we miss you.
Well, don't say that.
Okay, so you danced together in Málaga in the gym.
Yep.
Exactly. So recently.
Very
cool.
recently.
So yeah, like I mentioned at the end of last season, I've just moved to London. So yeah, missing Isa and everyone I know in Malaga a lot. I've only been here for a month, but basically the last month before leaving, I was just focused on leaving. So I haven't really seen anybody from Malaga in 2 months. So yeah,
but
missing you guys.
It's completely normal. It's an overwhelming process when you change from one place to another.
Yeah.
We should totally do an episode about that, because obviously that's something I've been through a couple times, and maybe
yeah, true.
So obviously, we want to jump into career stuff at some point, given the podcast and what we like to talk about. But I think to understand you a little bit, I mean, you've given a very nice, well prepared summary of who you are and what your things are. But I'd really like to know, when you were back at school, so when you were still wondering what you wanted to do in the future, did you have when you were a kid and somebody asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well,
do you know what your answer was?
Yeah, of course. Wanted to be an architect since I was in 5th grade in primary school. I had like a vision, whatever. I was just with my mom in the car. We saw like a very nice villa, and I was like, Mom, I want to design this. I want to do this in my life. And she was like, okay. She kept driving.
Wow.
So for most part of my high school life, people ask me, and I was like, I want to become an architect. Right? People ask me, but is anyone in your family that is an architect, that are you so bonded to it that you want to become an architect?
No. I just saw a nice villa one day.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And you've never had any doubts about that at any point? You just, wow.
Knew there was nothing else for you. That was just, it just felt right.
No, my second option, because when you like do all the papers for university, you have to put a lot of options. I just put like architecture in a couple schools, then industrial engineering, and then physics. I don't know. Because you had to fill it up. Yep, just a little like twist. I love physics.
Curveball.
Yep.
I guess that helps for architecture.
But I'm such a creative person, and I like the technical part of life of everything. That for me was the best fit. Just the only fit.
Yeah.
Super cool. And so you studied architecture in Málaga?
Yep. I studied the degree in fundamentals of architecture. Here it's like that. And then you study a master's degree that enables you to sign and become like civil responsibility to sign projects. I have certain like responsibility for people and for the government when I develop a project.
Yeah. So
then if the building falls down, it's your
fall
fault.
Down.
Yeah. Damn, we made the same joke, but I'm lagging. It's not fair.
You have to be like premonitive if you want to be witty in this podcast episode. You've got to guess what we're going to say to then make a witty comment. Okay, super interesting. So you went through your architecture studies. So that was what, 6 years?
Yeah, in total 6 years. Yeah. People usually take longer. It's not normal to take only 6 years. The average, I would say, here in Malaga, because in the other cities is even more, I would say it's 8 years.
Wow. So that was relatively easy for you, or
it was.
Okay.
It was very, very hard. It was very hard. I had to sacrifice a lot of things, but I maintained a very well balance between studying like school and the rest of my life. I still think that I could have done it better.
What do you think you could have done better?
Yeah.
About finding that balance?
Yeah, finding that balance. Yeah. I think I took a lot of things more personal that I should have. But we're young, we all learn.
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal.
Yep.
I think we could both say the same thing.
100%. Yeah, we were actually recording another episode. This is a bit of a spoiler for those listening, but we were recording another episode about the hustle culture. So figuring out, is it worth me working loads and loads of extra hours? Is that going to get me further? And what am I sacrificing for that? And one of the things I think that we didn't actually mention in that episode, but a good comparison for that would be when we're doing our studies. Because at that point, we're in the situation where we're like, okay, do I study 24/7 now and have brilliant outcome? We all think that if we get 10s and everything, then our future career will be better. Or do I take it more chill and enjoy more my student life? It's the same kind of question.
Yeah.
Yep.
So would you would say you were a bit more of a hustler, but still keeping things healthy?
Yeah, something like that. I had very clear in mind what my schedule looked like during the week and during the weekends, to dedicate some part of the time to university stuff. But I also had very well planned my personal life, like my sport activities, my social activities. But for me, I tried not to go for the highest grades in terms of being able to maintain my personal life.
So you didn't take too many sacrifices?
No, actually, it's very normal in architecture school to do nights. So you stay up all night doing the projects to the day after, before the submission. I didn't do that for the whole
wow,
degree
never once.
and masters. Only once, because it was a group project and
out of your control.
Yeah, out of my control completely. I was super annoyed. Super annoyed.
Yeah, I think we've both been there.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, from knowing Isa, I can say that one thing that she does so well that I admire so much about her is having boundaries. That she will just say, like, I only saw that for a long time within like the gym, but already there she would say, you know, I'm not going to go to this class because I need time for myself because of this and that or whatever. And no guilt, because I feel like lots of people might have guilt with, like, you know, having to cancel one thing for another because they don't feel like it, whatever. I feel like you're very good at boundaries. If I need this, I'm gonna listen to myself and do what I need to do, and, you know, arrange things around that. And I think, yeah, like I say, I've always admired that because I am very much people pleaser.
Do you think that comes from, has it always been the case? Have you always been pretty confident in telling people, okay, no, that's enough? Or has that come from this maybe more internal work that you've been doing for the past year?
Yeah, it has come from my therapist, to be honest. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I owe her a lot. So I'm still kind of a people pleaser most of the time, because I still feel guilt when I set a boundary. But I can now set boundaries. I wasn't able before, like maybe 5 years ago, I wasn't able to set the boundaries that I set now. But just things happen in life and you start realizing that, or you will set the boundaries or someone will set the boundaries for you. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, for me it was the case. Like your surrounding will start making the boundaries. You start not having the control of your own boundaries, of your own decisions.
Absolutely, yeah. It's super interesting. Maybe before we jump into career talk, to liven things up a bit, I have a bit of a listen that. So this is we're gonna say 2 options, and you just have to say whichever one you prefer.
So I have to answer, and Ava will answer too, or
no? This is
spotlight.
Spotlight is on you.
Okay. Yeah, we've already done this. I'm pretty sure to ourselves. So
most of them, yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to it.
Isa is maybe our number 1 fan on the podcast.
Yes.
I want to be. If I'm allowed, I want to be.
Love Isa and all the amazing feedback she's given us. Like, so many things in the podcast that have changed or we've adjusted have been because of Isa.
It's also because I felt like I needed something like this. For me, it has been so comforting hearing 2 people at my same age discuss about the same things that I have in my mind that worry or I don't know, come to my mind at night. So thank you.
So
very
nice
helpful.
to hear. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
It means so much.
This is what we do it for. Just one person.
Exactly.
It's okay. It's been worth it.
I have also a very good friend of mine. We talk about your podcast in our free time. Like, have you listened what I was saying? Yeah, Susha said like this. Very interesting. Different point of views.
Brilliant.
Love it.
Right, this or that. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1.
Ready.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Messages or emails?
Messages or emails? Emails.
Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings.
Work from home or work in office?
Hybrid. I don't know.
She sets her own boundaries, guys.
Yeah.
I just love people too much to not see them at all.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh. Okay, so brainstorm session or detailed plan?
Detailed plan.
Team collaboration or solo project?
Team collaboration.
Extra holiday or bonus pay?
Extra holidays.
Deadline pressure or flexible timeline?
Flexible timeline.
Nice.
Okay.
So now we have a bit of a better idea of
or not.
Or not, because these are very, very relevant subjects to get to know somebody.
Oh yeah,
you know?
I mean, you can tell a lot about a person.
So you've told us kind of where you came from. You've always been very sure that you wanted to be an architect, and then you finished your studies very, very quickly. What happened after that? And when you finished your master's degree?
Yeah, after that, working, sadly.
How did you find your first job?
So very, very bad. I don't know. Well, even though I had very clear in my mind what I wanted to study, and in the meantime I was studying, I had it very clear that this was what I wanted to do. When I finished my master's degree, I didn't have it so clear in my mind what I wanted to do with my studies. In terms of, I knew I wanted to be an architect, but what kind of architect? I did my thesis in the master's degree in landscape architecture, and I now do interior design most of the time. So I immediately regret, I don't regret doing anything. It just, things help you understand, use yourself and decide.
Absolutely.
So my first job was an internship during my master's degree, and it was back then when I realized I wanted to do architectural interior design, or just I didn't want to do big scale projects, in terms that I wanted to do projects that made me able to have the whole control of all the details, the handles of the doors, I don't know, the carpets, everything, the curtains, every single part of the design of the project. Oh yeah, the internship was pretty good. To be honest, but the first job after my master's, it wasn't for me. It was in interior design. It was like, I don't know, the several buildings, I don't know how do you say, plurifamiliar, where you have a complex of buildings and for different people, like collective housing. Yeah, that's what I was saying. What you say? Collective housing for promoters here in Spain, that what they actually do is like give you this part of land, just copy this project you did it, copy it, and then do the most that you can with the less amount of space. Yeah. That kind of shitty projects. They were very good studio, okay? And the main architect was such a good architect. Like, he was precise. Like the kind of people are like, but for me, no. Also, the schedule
maybe you
was
learned
horrible.
from him. Yeah, maybe you learned from him, but not necessarily
to set even more boundaries and quit. Yeah.
Set you on the right path.
He was like, I really like you to keep on. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna quit. That was exactly what happened.
So that was your first internship, or was that
was my first real job? The internship was pretty real because I did a lot of extra hours, so that was pretty real, the internship.
Yeah, I mean, internship, it's a real job. You just get paid less, honestly.
Yeah, I'm lucky I got paid a little bit because it was extracurricular. Like architecture in Málaga, you don't have like internships in the degree. You have to look for it.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay, so internship, first job. How long did you last in your first job?
In the internship or my first job?
In your job.
Okay, 1 month and a half.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was that experience? I feel like quitting it's not something we're taught to do.
No.
Also, it's not easy, and also it's a privilege. I could afford it. I was living with my boyfriend, and we could still afford paying the bills because he could pay them for me, obviously, because I had no savings at all for 1 month and a half. The first thing that I did when I received my first salary was like, let's go to Bersk and I can buy like brand new clothing because I was used to buy second. Yeah. Because I really liked second-hand clothing too much, and when I received the first salary, I was like, let's go buy brand new, but whatever. Yeah. So I was doing a course related to, like, specialized in interior design rendering. I don't know if you know what that is. Like the realistic images you get for a project in interior design.
Like when they're like,
when you see, like,
imagining a project and they like do like a 3D kind of sketch almost thing so that you can imagine.
Yeah, I was doing that course, and that course was focusing in interior design, was to specialize in something to give myself more points for interior design jobs. So I decided to quit the job and focus on that course because that course was very demanding and very expensive. Yeah, and when I was working, I had to do it in my lunch break because I finished at 7, couple days a week, half an hour away from my home by car. So I didn't have time. I had to do it in my lunch break.
Wow.
With a very annoying teammate like this. That was also a reason for quitting. If he's hearing, I don't care. You were annoying. And you know it.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. Hopefully you've worked
I
on
don't
that.
follow him. I don't follow him in any social media.
I know people who were really unhappy in jobs, especially when it was maybe their first job. And they were also worried, which the same as it doesn't really matter what grade you get in an exam at university, when it comes to the working world, it just matters if you got your degree or not. Lots of people would worry that it would look bad on their resume if they'd only, worked there for a month or 2 months and like quit before the contract was due. But you don't have to include that. But that is a real worry people have about quitting when they're not happy in a job, especially especially in the first ones.
I included it, but you don't have to do it. People in other interviews have asked me a lot, like, why did you last so little in that job? I was like, you interviewed me for interior design, right? That wasn't interior design. I know what I want to do.
Okay. And how did you go about that? Did you have a direct conversation with your manager, or did you send in a resignation?
Direct conversation, followed by a resignation letter, of course, like legal stuff. But I like to do things face by face, always. Yeah. Even though it's hard, because it was hard and I cried when I was quitting.
I mean, I think that's, again, normal.
Yeah, I was like, sir, I have to talk to you. I was like, yeah, I know what you're going to tell me about it. If you know I'm not happy with the job, why don't you try to do something about it? No, yeah.
That's interesting.
Because a lot of people don't say anything. Lots of people are unhappy and they just carry on. So if it makes his life easier if he doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah, I guess also if they're not super aware or they're not sure, I guess they're not going to be the person to say, are you thinking of quitting, or?
We feel that you're unhappy. Is this true?
Yeah.
I mean, if a good manager should, but...
Yes.
Yeah, also I was in my trial period. Trial period is for both parts. For the employer and for the employee. So it's like that. He fired another teammate I had that I was getting very well along with her like a week ago, and I was like, oh my god.
Oh no.
That was the first time that I saw someone get fired. She was in a trial period, but I was like, oh my god, I can quit too.
If he can fire, I can quit.
Two-way street.
Okay, so you've quit your job and you're concentrating on your course.
Yeah.
How long was it until your next employment? And how was that experience, being unemployed?
Well, I wasn't unemployed.
Yeah, mentally also, how did you deal?
Mentally, I don't know. For me, it was like a relief leaving that job. I had the pressure of getting a job just having finished the master's degree, because I don't like to say that I wasn't very lucky, but a lot of people was very lucky and they were able to continue in the same architecture studio in which they did their internship. For me, it wasn't like that. I asked them that I wanted to stay, but I don't know if I should say, but the type of contract they had, they didn't want me to be in that type of contract, because that's the contract that they were doing. And also, they didn't need anyone else for the studio, because a month before I finished it, they ended up conversations with one of the biggest clients they had that I was dealing with. So yeah, I felt the pressure to take the quickest job that I could get for a decent amount of money, because I was offered pretty shitty stuff. So even the moment I got it, I knew that it wasn't for me because of the schedule, because of the focus of the studio. So when I quit, I felt like a relief. I was focusing so much on my course that it took me 8 hours a day, because I was delayed and I wanted to move along with it. And in a couple of weeks, they called me from another company, because they required someone that knew the software I was studying.
Nice.
Specifically. Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't too long to...
No, I actually, in a month, I was already working with another company.
And then how was that? What was that new job? So it was working on something that you enjoyed more, I imagine, because it was the course that you were doing.
Exactly, because they were doing, it was a construction company instead of an architectural studio, but they were doing also projects. So I was very excited that I could get to see construction works on site more often, because that's a very, very important experience for an architect to know how things are getting done, real raw cement, stone, bricks, whatever. It was very important. I knew with that company I could do it. I also liked that I would be able to develop what I was studying in my course. And it was even smaller company. And I knew I would have more freedom like to do, I don't know, to decide a couple things. Also, the schedule was very good.
Or you were used to something much worse.
Yeah. I changed from 8:30 to 6-7 to 9-5 job.
So like a normal schedule. Okay.
Yeah, normal schedule. Yeah. Here in Spain, I don't know. They like to take in some companies like to take an hour and a half, 2 hours to have lunch, just because the bosses live near and they want to go have lunch at their houses and take a nap. Meanwhile, the employees like visit here.
And what was the environment like at the company? So you had a small team. Did you have one direct manager?
Well, there was the construction workers that I saw like every once in a while.
Okay.
The constructor, I don't know how to say that in English. Yeah.
I don't have that vocabulary.
The person who controls, like the builder. Yeah, the person who says,
Yeah.
You, Paco, do this. You.
Yeah, but it's like it's not just builder, because it's like the builder. I guess maybe like the director of the building site.
Kind of. But a director of a building site is usually a technical architect. So that it's studied. In Spain, there's this figure, not in all the countries, and this figure in Spain is the constructor. So, and also a technical architect. So this was the three of us were in the office. Usually the constructor, the builder, the chief builder, let's call it him, was not. He was outside. Usually, the thing is that I was alone. Most of the time, I was alone. Like a brand new architect just came out of her master's degree and
university
was alone all the time.
Womb.
Yeah.
And what was your role? Did you have somebody managing you, or would they just kind of like do something useful?
I was supposed to have someone managing me. The technical architect was the one who was managing me all the time, because we have like these two different things, like the construction site that was managed by the constructor and the office that was managed by the technical architect. And I was alone with her most of the time, just alone by myself. Yeah, she just was like, we have this thing to do. Do you know how to do it? I was like, no. She was like, then you have some examples at the server. Take a look at them and do what you can.
Okay. So a lot of independent work.
Yeah. And this was like 2 jobs ago, yes? So not your last job, the one before.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is the one where I learned the concept from Isa of what bored out meant. Because obviously I'd heard of burnout. And I remember the first time she said it, I was like, is she just mispronouncing burnout? Like, what? What's she saying? Like, I had no idea it was even a concept.
So let's jump into that.
Yeah, totally. Let's jump into that, because I don't think I've known anybody else with experience of this at a job. And if they have felt this, they haven't had an issue with it. You know, people have been quite happy to just coast along.
It's something that people don't usually talk about because they don't know they are dealing with it most of the time. Because it's not that much talked about.
So what was that like for you? So what would you define as being bored out?
I was chronically bored at work, under challenged, unmotivated, unproductive, disengaged.
And was that mainly because of not enough work, or just the work itself was just boring?
It was because not enough work and my skills were being underused. I started to doubt my own self-value because there were a lot of comments that were repetitive during the days that you don't know how to do this because you still have a lot to learn. And now I realize that that was just an excuse to not pay me more, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I think it's also the kind of thing that is very often said, maybe not even meant in any kind of way, but obviously hearing it time after time does just get a bit, it makes you start to doubt yourself and think, is this a you thing or a me thing?
Yeah, I didn't felt respected as a professional. I felt like, I know they didn't meant to do that, but I don't think age has anything to do with how professional you are. It has nothing to do. I consider myself such a professional person, and they didn't treat me like that. And for me, it caused a lot of like mental health, wonders. Let's call it like that. Because I went back home and I was like, what am I doing with my life? Am I a good actor? Am I not? Do I want to do this with my life?
You were being given the opportunities to be able to answer those questions. So you there was no way for you to know how far you could go, because you would just have these small repetitive tasks and not actually have any impact. Like if you did a really good job, then you wouldn't necessarily see anything come from that.
Yeah, exactly. And I am a person with a lot. When I say a lot, it's a lot of initiative. So I was like all the time, yes, I can do this, and I can do this, I can buy you groceries if you want. Just give me some work job like this.
Okay. Anything.
Yeah. One interesting thing about this job is that I was so bored out. A client canceled a project out of nowhere. Well, it was probably like predictable, but whatever. And I told them, you should cut
your time.
Let's why don't I do part-time? I don't have enough work to do. I'm bored. And we're like, yeah, awesome.
Okay, so is that what they did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a year with them full-time, and then I started working part-time for 6 months because I was with them 1.5 years.
Did that make it any better?
Yeah, actually it made it much better, but I still had not enough work to do for part-time. Now when work started entering, because I decided, I was like, I'm a person who has a lot of contacts. Let's start bringing clients. I started bringing clients. Work started to be more demanding or whatever. I was telling them, let's try to increase my time at work, and they just ghosted me all the time.
Okay, wow.
Because I was very cheap.
Yeah, of course. Young professionals, that's just what we are. We're just cheap people that are actually full of initiative and energy and very valuable things that you don't necessarily have in seniors, but they don't value that in terms of salary. Yep. Okay, so then after 6 months of working part-time, you decided to leave the company?
Yeah, I had it in my mind since I told them I want to do part-time, because I wasn't feeling challenged, and the projects and the works they had started to vary for the things I wanted to focus in my professional career. So they started doing less interior design, because they were doing a lot of interior design when I joined the company. And for that, I was like, well, I know what I want to do, and I don't want a job to mark my professional development. I want to continue the path that I've created. I put so much effort in that I decided to look for other opportunities, and that's what happened. I got another offer, and I just told them I'm going to another company. I told them even the company I was going to. And well, they took it well. I asked them for a rise not just in time, but only in salary months ago.
I actually have a friend who also relatively recently quit her job for very similar reasons. And I mean, I've talked about this to her, but we didn't know the concept of bored out. So it was just kind of a conversation of, this is really weird. It was a really interesting situation because she was also fully remote working. So basically what she would do is she would put a toothpick in her keyboard so that the computer would stay awake. By the way, I got told a good tip about that recently is if you want to keep your computer awake and go and, do whatever with your life, you just open a Zoom call with just yourself.
Yeah.
So apparently Isa knew this. This must be a thing that bored out people know.
Yeah. I didn't, because I had to go to the office every single day to stare at the wall and be alone.
So do you think, because this is what she would do, so she would stick a toothpick in her keyboard and then she'd just go about her life and do things. She would even travel, and maybe once every 10 days, she'd get tasks that she would do within 24 hours and then carry on. Do you think if that had been the case for you, that you would be able to go off and do other things and still receive your salary? How would it have been different? Do you think it would have changed anything for you, or?
Maybe I would have taken longer to quit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because it's not just that, is it?
Yeah, it's not just that. When when you're a focused person and you really want to work, you really want to develop a career. If you're a person that doesn't mind, I don't know, another type of person wouldn't mind it.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's why it's not a concept that's really talked about that much, because I feel like a lot of people who are bored out think that it's the best deal ever, because they they don't have to put that much effort in and they're still getting paid. And like you say, it's probably a kind of person who maybe isn't a big fan of their job or doesn't really have the ambition of wanting to build a career because, like I say, they're not that passionate about what they do. So they're like, well, I'm getting paid and I don't have to put as much energy in. I'm winning.
Exactly. It's also very valid. It's very, very valid, but
not you.
I guess it's not for us.
Yeah. I don't think any of us would be able to deal with that for very long. I think me and Saoirse, we would not last very long in that situation.
It's actually super interesting because when I first heard about this concept through Alba, because of you, so that's how I learned about it. And I was actually doing a little bit of research preparing for this episode in case we did come onto the topic. And I came across this concept of quiet quitters. So for people like us, you would go through that and say, okay, no, I can't do this anymore. I need to go further in my career. I'm quitting this job to find another one. But there's something also very, very common in the world of work that can either be due to being bored out or even burnt out, which is becoming a quiet quitter, which is simply doing what you need to do to remain at that company. So doing whatever tasks need to be done for you to not get fired, but totally disengaging. And there was a study done in 2023, so relatively recently, that calculated that 59% of workers worldwide were in this situation.
Crazy.
Were considered quiet quitters. So completely disengaged from their work, not inspired, not going the extra mile, just doing the bare minimum at their job, which is crazy.
It's crazy because I feel like it's such a big part of our everyday life, what we do for work. So to be like disengaged from what you're doing for so long each day, most days of the week, is just mind-blowing.
In the case of burnout, I think it's pretty obvious what the conditions are for that to happen. What do you think is a way for managers to avoid their employees getting bored out? Is there anything that you think they could have done to have avoided you having to leave?
Yes, obviously there are a lot of things they could have done. They could have just engaged more with me, treated me more professionally, just noticed what I was dealing with. But there are some people that go into work in autopilot, and they just go, do, leave, go, do, leave. They don't stop and watch their surroundings. I think that's what happened to them. I don't know, I'm not in their minds, but I've been a manager for a little while myself, and I've been just a manager for like 3 months, but I think I know how to recognize these symptoms in someone. It's just a matter on how educated in I don't know, mental health, psychology topics, how much
just awareness
you are. Yes, just how aware you are of your surroundings or for other people. That with common sense, it's pretty easy to diagnose when someone is going through something like bore out. But some people just don't have it. Some generations also are less aware of that. It's very...
It's like super interesting. You said at the beginning of the episode when you were presenting yourself that you're an empath. So that means you're very empathetic and you're very aware of how people are feeling around you. What's that like as a manager? Do you think it's a big pro? Do you think it makes you a much better manager? And because this is something that if you've listened to the podcast, which you have, you know that's something that's been on my mind, is being quite so empathetic. At what point does that become a hurdle, especially when you become a manager in that kind of situation?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's good, but sometimes it takes the control out of you. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes the empathetic you are talks through you and thinks for you. So sometimes it goes against me. In my case, it's something that I'm working on, because sometimes I've been such an empath with people that instead of setting a boundary and being firm with it, they've moved around that boundary so much that they have taken control of that boundary. So it's something I still have to learn about. I'm still young. I'm still I don't know. I think it's good because it's lacking everywhere. In all the jobs I've had, most people lacked empathy. And with empathy and good communication, those two things together, a lot of things could have got solved easily, meaning more productiveness, whatever, so more money, blah, blah.
Yeah. I think in a lot of cases, the reason that there isn't empathy with managers and such is because of, we've talked about it in our first season, of having kind of this need to like prove yourself to other people. So if you're trying to like defend yourself and defend your reasonings and all those things, it's very hard to take a step back, put your ego aside and be empathetic with the person in front of you. And I know that both Saoirse and me, we've also talked about this before, because we both feel like this, that sometimes how empathetic we are can maybe get in the way, and it's like, how do you balance it?
It's difficult, and it's not something at least I've figured out yet, but I think simply, as like most things, simply being aware of it and then trying to identify at what point is my reasoning now changing because of what that person is telling me they feel, and trying to stay clear, stick to, okay, when I came into this conversation, I had an objective. What was that objective? And to try and not be led away from that. Obviously remaining empathetic and remaining understanding, but you can understand somebody and still defend what you need to defend in that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I've been working on.
Yeah. I'm also working on that right now.
Super interesting. And also something you said earlier that really caught my ear. You said that the fact that they were older than you, so a different generation, they were a lot less aware of their surroundings because they were kind of so far into their routine. They'd been doing that every day for so long. I think that's something super interesting because I see it a lot around me at the office. I'm the youngest, and I, from the beginning, have always been, very, like you say, a lot of initiative. I try and be creative. I try and solve things because it's often new to me. Whereas the people that have been there for years and years and years, they just don't have that kind of curiosity of trying to figure things out that much. I feel like that's not valued as much as it should be in the working world. Like interns are these young, ambitious, full of life people that could bring to the company what the company really needs, much more than experience, But yet they're the people that paid the least because they're the youngest, and it's such a straight line. The more experience you have, the more money you make. But that spark of initiative and, problem solving and creativity, I feel like that's totally undervalued in the working world today.
I value that a lot. And I hired someone for my team because of that precisely. So for the last
And do you think that's your generation being more aware of that? Or exactly. Do you think it's just because you're still young?
No, it's our generation being more aware of that. Yeah.
Because maybe also it's becoming more valuable.
Yeah,
it's becoming, for the company I was working for, they value that a lot, and they hired very young people all the time because they liked that initiative, they liked that energy, they loved that. So there
especially
are some
in a creative industry, I imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
I feel like when you said that about the creative industry, in our last episode of season 1, when we were talking with my granddad, who a very different generation, he was saying how in medicine it is expected for you to keep learning and keep curious because things change so quickly. So I feel like there's some industries where it is maybe more kind of like you have to keep up with the times and keep adapting and kind of keep learning, and other ones where it's much more normal, I don't want to say, but I don't know what other word to use, to just kind of fall into the routine and we're just here again another day.
And I'm acquiring experience because I've been doing it for that little bit longer. Okay, I have 2 more questions for you, Isa.
Okay.
You've obviously always had very clear of what you wanted to do. When you started working, or maybe even today, have you ever felt imposter syndrome? Have you ever felt like, whoa, am I good enough to be where I am today? Do I have the status to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Is that something you've experienced, or?
Yes, I've experienced it mostly in that job I discussed about when I was wore out. I think imposter syndrome properly, I feel like I don't have that anymore, like strongly, because at some point you have to believe in yourself, and believe in yourself it's saying like, okay, maybe I don't know this, but it doesn't matter, I will learn it. I have the skills, I have the education, and legally I can do this. So the government trusts me to do this because they're giving me my paper. Why don't I trust myself with it? Everyone starts somewhere, and that doesn't mean that you're not good at it. You just maybe don't have the experience or the knowledge, but you still can learn it. And I've also worked with people with a lot of experience that didn't know how to do a lot of things. I looked it up, or told me, you look it up. You ask ChatGPT that I don't know how to ask him something.
Yeah. And you said earlier, you don't think your age defines how professional you are. And I think that's absolutely right. At any age, like we say, you have the right balance of a small amount of experience or a lot of experience or a lot of creative, energy and ambition. Like, we're all at wherever we're at.
Yeah. I think two things is that for some reason, when we come out of university, we are just so sure that we're supposed to know everything. I remember when I did my first internship and I realized that university really hadn't set me up to go into the working world.
Okay. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Have you ever thought of starting up something yourself?
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Okay. Oh, I like this. Let's skip to this part. And we've got Alba back. There we go. Okay, so tell us. So you've been thinking about starting something up yourself?
Yeah, I'm thinking and I'm doing it also.
Okay.
Already started. Like, I don't know. I don't have any formal client yet, but I have some things in the air. If they end up working, totally fine. If not, things will come. I have been getting contact by clients myself since I started working for the company we discussed about. So when I was with them, that it was a construction company, I started getting contact to work with. So it's not that I gave them like a lot of clients or anything like that, maybe a couple or three. But for a person that just finished university,
for sure,
3 years ago, I think that's pretty good. It's because I move a lot. I have a lot of contacts. I like to talk to people. I like to sell myself. I consider myself a good salesperson also. I like to talk. I like to go places. I like to do networking. I don't know. I have here my little thing, like I'm an architect, I do interior design. This is what I do. Hello, greetings. And the job I was working on since a couple of weeks ago, I decided also to leave that and decided to do something on my own because I knew I know right now that that's what I want to do with my life. I don't know if it would go well or not. Maybe we'll talk about this now, and in a year I tell you guys, like, I'm working in another construction company because life's like this, and maybe, I don't know, but I have to try it out because I've had this in my mind for almost 2 years, and I also got tired of saying no to personal project like architectural interior design projects, and I also want to give myself my own times. I'm a person that likes to have the control over everything. I think I've already discussed this, but and having someone had that control over me, for me, is frustrating, stressful. Sometimes there are things that go beyond your control, and you cannot say to your boss, like, you should have done this like this, like, because you can't. I don't know, I felt like it was the moment. Also, a friend of mine, she's also freelance right now. We decided maybe let's do some things together, because starting alone, as Alba did, for me, it's like a big deal. And also in architectural, we have like responsibility towards the government and towards the client, like physical responsibility that sometimes can be overwhelming, because you need to have an insurance for your works, and I don't know. So yeah, that's
a big deal.
You're
building
right now.
Buildings.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah. Congratulations.
And I think the only way you're going to know is by trying it. You try it,
exactly.
You see how it feels. And if in 6 months, even if it's going really well, if you're like, I don't enjoy this anymore, then, but from the kind of person that you are,
I think it'll be easier for you than other people, mainly because of just being organized. That's such a big part of it. And you've got that down.
I mean, it sounds to me like you have it all. I'm very confident that you're going to go very far.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll have to get you back on in the year and you can tell us your success story.
Let's see. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I think this has been quite the eventful episode. We've had some issues, technical issues, but it just gives some spice, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
hopefully it's
maybe
not
leave
too
this one
disjointed.
here. Nah, it'll be great fun to edit.
We're fun.
But thank you so much for joining us. It's been a super interesting conversation, and I feel like we definitely need to get you on more.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure. Talking to you, Saoirse, to be honest, feels like talking to a celebrity, because I don't know you in person, and I just heard your voice like over and over, and for me it's like I don't know, talking to a radio reporter or something like that.
I love that so
well,
much.
you kind of are.
You are actually, yeah. And for my friend that also listens to this podcast, she's like, I can't believe you're friends with Alba from Isa.
Oh my god, that feels so unreal, but I love it.
That's amazing.
It's cool.
You
also have
going
good voices
to...
for podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We haven't had that comment yet.
We
can do a whole episode of comment reviews just from your comments.
Okay.
Let's be honest, like 80% of the feedback from the feedback episode was from Isa. I don't know if you've listened to it, Isa, but
that's perfect.
Okay.
Right. Well,
Thank you very
wrapping
much.
this one up.
yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll get you back. It's been super, super fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you, girls.